being the first people to chat with us about the new version of Arcserve, Arcserve Udp. I am Todd Obert, President and CEO of Productive Corporation. Alongside me, virtually and technologically, is John Santavazzi, the Principal Consultant from Arcserve, and he is going to be showing you the new release that truly rocks. It is awesome. We are super excited about it. We're fist pumping and throwing up the horns because the crowd is on their feet for Arcserve Udp. So if you've come to our events in the past, you know we are all about content and less about fluff. To that end, we will meet Productive in 1 minute or less. I'm going to talk just real briefly about what we think is very cool in Arcserve's new release and what are the benefits. And from there, I will hand it over to John, and John will show you the product, which I'm sure all of you want to see, and it'll be cool. Please utilize the chat feature for Q&A throughout the presentation. So with that, let's meet Productive Corporation. Who is Productive Corporation? Well, that is a fantastic question. Productive is a security and storage software expert for mid-sized companies. We have dedicated account reps that have specialized technical knowledge so that you can come to us. You don't need to navigate the web. You don't need to try to find something hidden in some other website. We have all the information to answer your questions quickly. We have tons of information about the partners that we represent. We distill it down to give you the stuff that you need as you need it, whether that's technical information, demos, downloads, white papers. All of that is at productivecorp.com. We also produce third-party content letting you know what we think about these things for technology in the mid-market. We do 2-minute tech, we do P-guides, we do white papers, product comparisons. All of this is at productivecorp.com/content. The bottom line is we have the resources to help you. Help at productivecorp.com, 800-726-4099. We are here to help. And one of the ways that we help is by letting you see the new technology that's out there and really talking with you why we feel it's real and relevant, and that's what we're going to do today. So you guys came to hear about Arcserve's newest release called Arcserve UDP, or Unified Data Protection. And that's really what they've done. They built on the great foundation that Arcserve has had, you know, all the way back to the Bright Store days and before, coming out of Cheyenne, and just it's been a great product. And they've really extended and built upon all that great stuff, incorporated DDD, and now have, I think, just a world-class product that's a leader across the board. So, you know, as we talk about a little bit today, we'll talk about what are some of those key features, what are the benefits. You know, John is going to show you the technical overview, and like we said, we'll have that Q&A throughout. So what do we love about it, right? Well, the key features in the new version of Arcserve, right, we love the unified management console, right? It's simplified. You get to everything through that console, and it really is giving you the new single pane of glass, right? We also love the global dedupe. We love agentless backup of VMware and Hyper-V. Just want to throw that in, and Hyper-V, which a lot of people are using in the mid-market, and just has great on-prem, off-prem, or in the cloud access. And you can use it in any of those number of ways, which is really, really important. Some of the benefits of using UDP, right? You can just use one product, right? You're eliminating that need for multiple products. It really integrates seamlessly between virtual and physical environments. Some organizations out there, right, they talk about all the great stuff they can do in virtual environments, but they don't really have a legacy strategy. Most of the people we talk to still have tape in some part of their environment. And so it's important to address that and realize that, this is about data recovery, and it's all on a continuum. And that's really the philosophy, huh? Let's build from where we are, and let's move the capabilities into the future as well. Continues to be hardware agnostic, which we think is the right way to approach it, right? You have your systems. You have the way you like to build and deploy those, and this just goes on top of it, right, and integrates with everything, right? We also like increased local backup capability, as well as the ease of migration off-site or to the cloud, once again, as you want to do it. So I think those are the high points. I mean, we have been waiting for this release, and when I first saw it and first started seeing all of it, I was just so excited and couldn't wait for it to be out in GA. And now that it's out, we're having great feedback, and people have really been happy with the new product, and really it's just the start of more good things to come. So with that, I say enough of my yapping. Let's take a look, and we're going to turn it over to John. John, as you guys know, John Santivasi is the principal consultant for Arcserve and has worked intimately with the developers on this new release, and is talking about it and seeing it and talking about people in their environment. So we're going to have him show it from his virtual world. So let's have a loud virtual round of applause for John Santivasi. John?
Thanks, Todd. All right, so let me bring up my screen here. Is that visible to you, Todd?
That looks good from my end.
Okay, so let me minimize this. Guess I can't move it too much. Does that panel get in the way of the demo?
The panel I cannot see.
Okay, good. All right, so you should be able to see the Arcserve Unified Protection Console, which is a web-based console. So basically, we took all the consoles that D2D had and essential applications, and basically rolled it into a nice workflow engine. So instead of creating policies like we used to do in D2D, now we actually create what we call a backup plan. And let me just log into the console. So once you enter the console, it actually brings up a nice wizard to help you add the node that you want to protect. And these nodes can be physical systems that would require agents, and it'll deploy the agents right from there as you register them. And also we can register what we call agentless backup, which was the old host-based backup that we called it with the D2D product. The D2D product had another console, and it was like you had to create different policies for the nodes to protect that were agentless. And then, of course, like Todd mentioned, we did add Hyper-V support to that, as well as VMware, which we've had from the get-go. Once you add the nodes that you want to protect, we introduced something new to the product line called an RPS, or Recovery Point Server. Now, this Recovery Point Server is really the item that allows us to do that global deduplication. Now, the agents, as well as agentless using a proxy, will do source-side deduplication, and all that information will get deduped on a repository of your choice, what we call the Recovery Point Server. Now, the Recovery Point Server is something, like I said, is new. It does require some horsepower to do the deduplication, so it does require a server that's going to have at least a quad-core processor. You can have more, of course, and some memory to handle the processing power to handle all this deduplication. So there's a lot of information going to be going onto the system. Now, we do have the ability, like D2D had, where you can back up to a share, or any local share. You wouldn't need to create the RPS. You basically just go right to the plan, and your plan is what we call our policy creator. But like I said, it's in a workflow form. So tasks like Todd mentioned to me earlier in a little question and answer type little scenario that we'll probably bring up towards the end, is like we had little features within D2D and the central applications called virtual standby. Now that is actually going to be a task within your plan. So you can create a backup plan. You can add virtual standby to that plan. as well as you can add replication. We've added the replication engine that CA owned into the product, where we can actually replicate a recovery point server to another recovery point server, and that recovery point server can obviously be sent to a different location, a cloud location, or even within your own data center. So the replication piece is in there, and that is something also we can add into the workflow plan or your protection plan of your systems. So if we just click on the Get Started, it'll actually bring you right to the guts of the product, which we have on here on the resources. Resources is where you can actually monitor the dashboard to monitor your jobs and make sure everything is working copacetic. But the first thing it brings you to is your Add Nodes, or your node screen. You'll notice that here on the left-hand side, you can navigate through the resources that way. If you are not sure what to do at first, you're not used to the product, you basically just start from the top and work your way down here under the Get Started. Add the nodes to protect, then you add a destination, and then once you have those two settings in the product, then you create a plan to protect it. So for instance, if I wanted to click on Add Nodes, add any more nodes, you can add nodes through this drop-down. Windows nodes, Linux nodes. Oh, and by the way, we did incorporate D2D for Linux and the D2D for Windows into basically one screen here. So this unified console gives us management of everything here. I can import nodes via Active Directory or directly from an ESX or a vCenter system for VMware customers, and as well as from Hyper-V, or just import them, through our own products that are within the systems. Once you add the nodes to be protected, I'm just going to cancel out because I already have everything added here. You'll notice some actions that you can do here. Notice virtual standby is an action to a system. So it actually end up as a task within the plan. Here. So once I have my nodes I want to add in here, then I can click on Add a Destination. And adding a destination here, it's basically telling me, okay, you're going to create a recovery point server. Now, when you install any type of agent or tracking driver, it's going to require a reboot. So you have the ability here to control that. If you want to reboot it on your own at a certain time, or you want to do it immediately, or you can specify a time when you want that reboot to happen in order for the software to be installed onto the system. Okay. Now, what I'll do is I have the Citrix panel in my way here, so I'll just move it out of the way here. So under recovery point servers, I already have a recovery point server down here, or a couple of them. I can add, and if I click on the recovery point server, it shows me my data store, and that's something that's going to be added in there. Now, when you create a data store, it does require some disk space to handle the indexing and the hashing. You notice here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this data store or this recovery point server to show you what the settings look like. So on the recovery point server, and by the way, I have my console installed on this recovery point server. That's one methodology. Like, you don't have to have multiple servers, but you can have it spread apart. You can have the management interface on one server, and you can have the recovery point servers on separate servers. You can decentralize it if you wish. It makes it very easy. And actually, everything gets installed from one ISO or one disk. So from there, now I don't have like an SSD drive, and an SSD drive would actually eliminate some memory usage that the product would need. Depending on your how much data you're going to be backing up, there's a little scale down here to help you figure out how much space you would need in the data destination, and how much the hash index will need. Now, the hash can be correlated into memory. So the more memory you require, you can alleviate some of that by adding a solid-state disk onto that system, and you'll use less memory. Now, we do have calculators that we're going to be posting on Arcserve.com, and I'll be sharing them with Todd and his company here, so we can easily allocate this ahead of time once we figure out how much disk space you have that you want to back up, retention, and so on, and we'll basically size the RPS accordingly. So I just wanted to show you some of the settings in there about setting up the RPS. Once the RPS is set up, again, then you create a data store. Now, if you use a single data store throughout your environment, it actually will do global deduplication. What that means is, as each of the servers that are being backed up, it will create a hash table, and that hash table will get communicated to the RPS. So to bring that data to the RPS, they basically communicate with each other and say, okay, I already have this data. I already have like a copy of Windows 2008. I already have a copy of Windows 2012, the operating system. So I'm only going to be bringing only the change data. So your backups will be a lot smaller for transmissions to the RPS server. All right, so that's obviously how deduplication is going to be working. Once I have my RPS server created, then I would just go over to creating a plan. Or I can go down here to where it says all plans, brings me to the same place. I can add a plan if I wish, just to show you what those settings are. Notice we see tasks. I mentioned earlier that it's basically a workflow engine. The type of task you can add at first, you need to back up your protected systems. So we have agent-based plans and agent-based, agentless and agent-based, excuse me. You can also set up a plan just to replicate the RPS, as well as set up virtual standby. Now, in an existing plan, I can also add these as separate tasks also, or it'll be like task number 2, task number 3 to do all this. So for instance, here, I have a few plans that I already created, like this production servers. This one is a agent-based plan. So I have my server that's already added into the source. In the destination, I'm pointing it to my recovery point server. Now, if I didn't have a recovery point server to use, you can kind of go back just the way D2D used to do it by using a local disk or shared folder, where you just specify a UNC path to that location, and you wouldn't get deduplication in any means. Basically, what will happen is it'll back up like to a NAS box, for instance, or just to some local share. You can schedule, and this is something we've added into the product, different scheduling features. Now, for instance, the way the product works, and for people that don't know D2D, the way D2D started up backup, you do a one-time full backup of your systems, and then from that point on, it kept recovery points based on block-level increments. Now, in this case here, this one's told to keep 31. Now, basically what's going to happen when number 32 gets created, the first one, which was the full, is going to merge its information down to the next one in line. Now, in D2D, when we just backed up to a local share of any sort, all that processing would happen at the production system where the agent is installed. Now it actually happens at the RPS server or the recovery point server. And I also can create multiple types of retention schedules, like a daily, a weekly, and a monthly schedule, very similar to the way Arcserve Backup did the grandfather, father-son scheme. Except these are just going to be markers on the disk. It doesn't actually create a full monthly and doesn't create full weeklies. It only had to do a one-time full backup. And then we basically know the mapping of the disk of what would make a full backup based on that month end and retain it for that many months just by specifying it here. And you can also set up different time schedules for that too. You can have the monthlies running at a different time, and you can also set them running at different days of the week if you wanted some days that you don't want it running, so to speak. Just to show you what that may look like. Adding a backup schedule. Here is my incremental, and I would switch, like, say, to a monthly. And if I wanted to keep it 12 months, I would tell it to do so here, and it would run on the last day of the month at a specific time. Now, remember, it's only going to be an incremental backup in time, but it'll save the information on disk for, in this case, 12 months. All right, so you would add this to your plan. Now, this plan, obviously, has already done backups. I'm telling it here to generate the catalogs for any Exchange servers and keeping my daily backups for that quick restore. And then under the advanced piece here, this is very similar to what we had in D2D. You can truncate the SQL logs and the Exchange logs on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And if there's any pre or post execution types things that you want to run, you can run commands there from this basically what the agent will give you. Okay. Also, just to note here, because of the ARC recovery point server, all that merge processing, and the merging was when that oldest would trickle its full information down to the next one in line, all that merge processing takes place on the RPS, not on the production server. So that here you can, these are your alert settings here, but you can also control when that merge process takes place. But the nice thing is it doesn't use the resources on the primary system. Now, once you have a plan and a backup's going on, you can always modify it and add other tasks. So for instance, adding a task to this plan could be like the virtual standby, or even replicate this. So if you want to specify certain servers that are being replicated to another RPS, you do that within the plan. Because now I'm just going to replicate, and in this case, it only had one server called production. Production can be replicated to another system. If I created a whole plan called replication, it would replicate the whole RPS to another RPS. And you can have multiple RPSs basically replicating to the single RPS in an alternate location. So for customers that have many little offices or data centers, they can replicate all of their systems to a central location, either in a cloud or in one of their other data centers, maybe the headquarters, for instance. Also, if you notice here, copy recovery points is also, and file copy, are also other types of tasks we can add to the plan. Just to give you a definition of what the copy recovery points are, it basically takes makes a full copy and sends it to an alternate location. So here you can specify it. I'm going to take the recovery points from the last recovery point, merge with the full, and bring it to an alternate destination, and specify a couple of versions of that to be stored there. This could be like something like on your weekly backups if you wanted it into an alternate location. It's just a feature of the product.
John, what's the size of that?
Sorry?
Those copy recovery points, right? Obviously, it's based upon the size of the data set, but I mean,
it's the size of the data set, but it's compressed.
Okay.
So it'll basically rehydrate that information from the dedupe data. It'll put it onto a piece of media where you can do basically a full recovery of your systems. Now, within the systems, we have the bare metal recovery feature, right? So you can create an ISO. That still exists exactly the same way it did with D2D. You have a little icon in the corner here. You can always click on that, and it's also installed as a bootkit creation utility, in the program files. That's also there. With that ISO, you can use these recovery points to recover a system if they weren't using virtual standby. Like virtual standby is the quicker way of doing it, or a proactive measure of taking your recovery points and pre-populating it to an alternate virtual server, just either in your data center locally or remotely. If you're using the replication, you could take the remote RPS and basically create a task within that plan to use the virtual standby to proactively take the backup data and update the virtual server. So you have a server in the off position, basically, that's ready to be turned on in case of any server failures.
Okay, yeah, and that's right. I mean, right, and that's essentially, and maybe you can elaborate that on how you basically can leverage D2D and virtual standby. That seems like one of the ways you can do that, but do you have any more to add on that?
All right, so there's some manual features, and really, I'm giving you a lot of information in a short period of time, but it's just letting you know that Arcserve has all these capabilities. We don't have to use all of them, but we do have a nice seamless system that will basically, in my plan, I'm going to back up my data to an RPS. I can remotely replicate that RPS to another location, and then I can initiate virtual standby in that other location or in the local to a virtual server or virtual system, Hyper-V or VMware, where your latest backups, which can be as little as every 15 minutes, are stored on that virtual server and ready to start. So it basically did that whole DR for you without having to create the bare metal recovery disk, which does exist in the product. And that's one of the benefits of virtual standby. You basically have less downtime than you ever anticipated because you basically can recover your systems within seconds. And it's basically how long it takes to boot that system up. If it takes like 3 minutes to boot, that's all you're down.
Yeah. So John, what is, I got an old version. What's my upgrade path from previous products to UDP?
Okay, so we created 4 UDP license sets. So the standard edition is it's pretty much equivalent with D2D standard, which was protection for file systems, file servers. If you have a server that has Exchange or SQL, that would require an advanced license. All right, the advanced license basically just does that. It gives you a little bit more capabilities just to back up and restore Exchange servers at the granular level and SQL databases. The licensing is also handled via per socket or managed capacity. You can mix and match these, by the way. So if you're doing sockets, you stick with sockets. If you're doing managed capacity, just do managed capacity. But you can take some standard licenses for how many servers that you have are just file servers, and then just some advanced system licenses for the advanced, for the Exchange and the SQL servers. We do include a base copy of Arcserve Backup if you wanted to move this information to tape. And all of the features that are in UDP are included with the product. So you don't pay extra for RPS replication. You don't pay extra for Arcserve Backup. It's basically included with those 2 systems. And then we have a Premium and Premium Plus model. And the Premium and Premium Plus model are for our customers that still need Arcserve Backup running in their systems to back up maybe some Unix systems and so on. All those agents like SharePoint and so on that Arcserve Backup has, that is included, as well as the replication product that Arcserve acquired Exosoft a few years back, and that replication piece is included with the Premium edition. And again, they are sold in sockets as well as managed capacity. And then the Premium Plus includes everything, including high availability, which you can access through this console. But it's the full system high availability is what's included in UDP. But it does require the Premium Plus licensing to unlock the high availability portion.
Okay.
All right. So you get everything with that one. That's the Premium Plus is the whole enchilada. And we also still sell workstation licenses, so you can still back up any Windows workstation with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me this: what I can't make the change right now, but can I still get support for the old product?
Oh yeah. So we do still support version 16.5. We just announced that we're going to stop supporting D2D 16.0. So
okay.
16.5 is actually still being sold as well as still being supported.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Upgrade path, obviously if you're going to use RPS, you have to start off with some new backups because we have a different database schema. We've added deduplication, which D2D didn't have. But when you start a new backup, you're basically just going to start a new backup anyway. You can still restore your old recovery points. So basically, if you were interested in just upgrading to UDP, however methodology that you want to set up your backups, you just point to a different share, and you can still keep your old information, still intact and still recoverable within the system. And
okay.
By the way, when I am in the software, by the way, so if I click on all nodes and list my nodes that are here, if I just right-click on there, notice I can log into the agent, just like I used to be able to do that within the Central Management Console within Central Protection Manager, and I have access to all the various capabilities within the product: restore, backup now, copy recovery point, mount the recovery points. You'll still be able to do that with your recovery points. You click on restore, you can point to that share where those recovery points are stored for D2D and still be able to restore from here.
Oh, okay. Now, is this the same place that I'd roll out and manage new licenses in the system?
Oh, that's a great question. So within the Central Protection Manager, all the licensing is done with the managed licenses under the help screen. So you basically go in here. If you're using sockets, it'll basically count down how many sockets you're using. It knows between the hypervisors which ones you're using. If you're using the managed capacity like I am here, you know, it doesn't keep track on that, but it'll let you know that you're licensed for all the various components right from this one license manager. The socket-based licensing is pretty popular, so it's I think a little cost-effective in some cases too.
Oh, okay. Hey, I had one other question, right? So previously, in order to do virtual standby and get data on tape, customers had to use two different interfaces. Can you show us how that works in the new Arcserve Udp?
Okay, so within UDP, we basically combined all the consoles for D2D. You know, so we had the central protection manager, the virtual standby, we had the host-based backup. So that's basically built right into this workflow, right? So if I had some Hyper-V systems here, I would see Hyper-V proxy groups and so on. Now I'm only set up for VMware, so I should see the vCenter and I have some Linux backups in here too. So it groups them together. As you install those components or utilize those components, it'll build this groups accordingly. For getting this information onto tape, we still use the Arcserve Backup Management Console, which, you know, it's in our roadmap to move that information up to the UDP console. But Arcserve Backup has many components in there, so we can't just dump all of it right away, and obviously it takes some development effort. But if I went into, like, you know, into the Backup Manager in Arcserve Backup, and under the source screen, you'll see, and actually when I register my systems, bring some of this down here, I have my recovery point service. So I already registered within UDP my recovery point service that's an Arcserve Backup system. It actually dumped it right in here. So there's my two RPSs. And I can basically pick the servers that are being backed up from the RPS right from there. So I can say, okay, I want to back up the server. It will do basically a compiled full backup and dump it to tape. So it rehydrates that information, goes to tape. But the nice thing is from tape, when you want to do a restore, you can do Granular Restores. I'll just quickly switch to the restore screen. And if I do like a restore by tree and hit the one of these Windows systems that I backed up, you'll see, okay, as far as this management system, yeah, this guest system here, it was backed up, so I can do a restore of anything on the C drive, as well as I have the raw session, which is the full system for DR purposes. So if you wanted to just do full DR from tape, you would restore this recovery point, which is a full recovery point of the system, and then you'll be able to use the BMR disk to use the bare metal recovery to dissimilar hardware capability to recover the full system. But if you just need to just restore a single file from tape, you'll be able to do that too. It gives you that capability. That's just the integration that's between UDP and Arcserve Backup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, fantastic. Well, we're here. We're well past half the hour, so hey, no, that's perfect. There's tons of stuff. This is really just an overview, right? And if you guys want to get a detailed demo, or we can have the full trial we'll send out, that would be perfect to talk to your account executive. You know, but we appreciate that you only have a limited amount of time, so want to be respectful of that. John, fantastic. Thank you so much for your presentation today. Your account exec is going to be following up with you, so let us know what you need to see, and let us know what you like. Let us know what questions you have. Tons of new stuff here in this new release. It is cool, and I'm going to say there is more stuff to come as well. I know from talking to the people on the product development side, this is just the beginning. So great new platform. Let's talk about where you're at, where you need to go. John, thanks again for a great presentation. Everybody, thanks for taking the time out. I'm Todd Obert from Productive Corp, along with John Sanavasi from CA, or from Arcserve, as we like to say. And wishing you guys a fantastic balance of your day and week. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. All right, John, you still there?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I think we got everything we need to record. I guess the last one was just that maybe we do the virtual. I'll make you presenter real quick, and then just do that. How can I leverage D2D in virtual standby? Just do that a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say, so you just start in. I'll just basically.
Okay, so with UDP and virtual standby.
Yeah. So, yep. So, all right. Beep. How can I leverage D2D and virtual standby using Arcserve Udp?
Okay. So within the resources, I would actually go down to all plans. And in all plans, I can take one of the existing backup plans that I've created. Like for this, in this case here, I created a backup plan for my production servers. So if I just checked it off and then hit modify it, here I can add a task. And that task for this particular plan would be hitting the drop-down list is virtual standby. So virtual standby will allow me to take the backup data that I'm storing on the RPS, and basically now I would have to register a virtual system for me to dump that data to. So what's going to happen is my sources are already selected because they're inside of this plan. My virtualization server and virtual machine and so on are going to be settings in VMware or Hyper-V, allow me to register these systems in here. And what's going to happen is all the recovery point data is going to get stored and preloaded onto this hypervisor of your choice, like I said, Hyper-V or VMware. And now if anything ever happens to your primary system, unfortunately, I don't populate this information with stuff here. I can't go to the next screen. It's like it won't let me to. But what's going to happen in here is it'll ask me questions like, do you want to do automatic failover, or do you want to do manual, as well as being alerted, and so on. So it'll check up the heartbeat of the production server, which in my case here it's under this whatever was backed up under this task for the agent-based backup. And you can do this for agentless too, by the way. You basically have a proactive VR plan. And now, if I wanted to set up this virtual standby task within a remote RPS, I can do that too. So you get the benefits of either doing local virtual standby or remote virtual standby within the UDP interface.
Perfect.
How's that sound?
Yeah, that was good. All right, man. I think we're good.